It's 7:05 and we're going to start now for the pandemic check-in, so to speak. And as you may have noticed, I'm by myself tonight. Amanda, who actually ran the Zoom meetings before and was the host for the Zoom meeting, she had a paid account. She has stepped aside from doing the project to focus on some other things. And Tamara, who is also our person who worked on the project on the website and providing information, can't make it tonight. And so, so I just felt like we couldn't really delay much longer to do this because it's been 2 months. And so she'll join us next month, because I'm thinking that it would be kind of nice to do something on like a monthly basis, or whatever you guys decide that if you want to have more often, we can certainly do that. There you go, Wendy.
I have it. I have it taped.
Ah, okay.
Sorry, I thought, why am I not showing up? Everything says it's on. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. So I'm going to ask everybody to mute themselves for right now. And so, as I mentioned in the email that went out for the registration, what I want to do is have it set up so that there's some informational piece at the beginning that is recorded and that we'll post, because I can edit the videotape and have just some basic information at the beginning, and then at some point I'll stop recording, so that then that way people can have a little bit more freedom to share whatever they feel like they want to share, but that some of the basic information is continuing to go out for those who want to get that information. So as far as where we were from where we were 2 months ago, a whole lot has changed, as you probably all know if you've been paying attention to any of this at all. And a couple of things that I did want to put up is that, or talk about for a moment, is that one of the major changes that has happened in the last 2 months is, of course, the CDC has greatly expanded their symptoms list. And so that's something that we all need to pay attention to in terms of when we're questioning our clients, to be able to screen them better. Like, for example, now some of the common symptoms of a cold, like a sore throat or congestion, runny nose, those are new. Nausea or vomiting and diarrhea are also new, but there's also, what they're finding out is that there's a whole slew of symptoms with this. 2 months ago, when we were looking at this, they were talking about it as different kinds of things going on, and that they talked about it as maybe a coagulation issue. Well, now we know more that it's more of an ACE2 receptor issue, so that's why it affects the blood vessels and the organs and all these different things. So probably most of this is not new to some of you. What I think is a couple of things to sort of that I want to mention here before I just kind of open it up here, is that the website has not been really updated. I did update on some coagulopathy issues today, but I've been going through a lot of personal transmission. As I said at the beginning, Amanda has decided to step away from the project. Tomorrow couldn't make it tonight. But as far as the getting the website updated, I've been going through a lot of transition and trying to pack, move, show the house, show my house, sell my house, move into, downsize into a smaller place. So I just haven't been able to devote much time to this. But one of the things that I did put up that I think is of real concern to all of us as massage therapists, for anybody who is choosing to go back or considering going back, is all of the coagulopathy issues. And I think Ruth Warner on the ABMP website has really done a great job of talking about that. So if you go out to ABMP or Google ABMP COVID and Ruth, it'll take you to some of the information. And I've also put a few links up on the research page when I've explained a few things about the coagulopathy issues. Like, for example, one of the things that I found in my research is that that EMTs, emergency medical services, who respond to 911 calls, they have a lot of good information about screening for blood clots. So I put up some things on the website for that. And you can go to the lmtbodypolitic.com website and get to the research page eventually. And so you can use some of those ideas that are there for potential screening protocols. And as I also said, if you go to abmp.com, they seem to have the best materials and information regarding protocols and things to do for our practice, which I think is really good. But with the coagulation issues, she has some really good information out there. Like, for example, one of the things that she said in her article was if blood thinning medication is prescribed for a short term versus a long term, if it's prescribed for a 30-day course, which is considered short term, that's usually a preventative measure. And if it's prescribed for 3 months or more, this indicates someone who may have been identified with clotting problems. And so what I walk away from that is that can lead to some discernment onto whether or not you're comfortable continuing with treatment versus, well, they're taking this because it's for a preventative thing, or gee, you know, this person may have clotting issues, so I need to ramp up my protocols to make sure that I'm really watching out for this very safely. And she also has some impacts for treatment, which, you know, referring out for DVT, you know, if a person only has the issues that have to do with excuse me, I was letting somebody in, so I got a little distracted here. That if it's simply the skin lesions like rashes and those kinds of things, if you work lightly, that's okay, but deep tissue might be an issue potentially. And so the articles that she's written, Ruth Warner has written, have been very helpful. And she's written some things on how to work with clients who are post-COVID right now. And so I just think that ABMP and Ruth Warner has some very good things to say about all of this. So, so that's really all the information that I wanted to go through, which took about 7 or 8 minutes here. And part of what I wanted to talk about, first of all, is I'm not an expert on all this. All I'm doing is just facilitating time for us to get together to talk about the things that we feel like we need to talk about in order to be able to sort of gather some support from each other, talk about what's working, what's not working, what are the things that we're doing if we're not going to work, and so on. Oh, there is one more thing that I wanted to mention too, and that is the Business Adaptability Grants. Okay, there's a website called covidreliefmt.org, and that's covidreliefmt.org, and the MT is the, you know, for Montana. So covidreliefmt.org, and you want to scroll down that page to what's called the Business Adaptability Grant. And what the state has money available for is they just sent out an email last week saying that the amount was increased from $5,000 to $10,000. And it originally started out as a one-time grant. So if you have already applied for it before the original deadline, and they have that information on that site, they reopened it for a second round. So if you've gotten some money from them before, then you can apply again. And if you've applied before the deadline that they had before. So what the Business Adaptability Grant does is provide you with money. If you can provide your receipts and upload your receipts, they will provide you with any money that you need in order to, for all the equipment that you spent on anything to help you get ready for COVID-19. Sanitizers. I did 2 HEPA filters for our office, HEPA air purifiers for our office. Even though I'm not practicing, I am, and my business partner are, you know, preparing and doing things to get ready for practice. Sanitizers, hand sanitizers, disinfectants. I use scrubs, you know, like I've got snap top scrubs, masks, anything that you can think of. They're even doing stuff for like any paperwork that you're printing, if you get anything printed. Just basically, if you have receipts for anything that you need to help you get ready or to help you continue or did already do to get your practice COVID proof, so to speak, or COVID ready, they will give you money. And I've already, I applied under the old deadline and got a whole bunch of money for like goggles and masks and, scrubs and everything. So it's really a good thing that you can get. And there was basically no questions asked. All I did was just upload all the receipts and explain what the receipts were for. And they, and I mentioned how it was related, and they paid for it. So you can get up to $10,000 back. The only thing that you can't use it for is if you own a business with other massage therapists, and you can't use it for pay. But you can use it for all of the equipment and all of the different things that you need. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so anyway, so basically,
is that information, the website posted somewhere? Is it on the LMBT politic?
I haven't gotten it up there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a note here, and that's something that I'll do tonight before I go to bed, because that's a very quick fix. I just, I was just in a hurry to try to pull together some resources for tonight, and so I didn't get that up yet. But I'll actually post that. I'll post that on the page, on the COVID-19 page tonight, after the meeting, probably an hour after the meeting or so. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. She Diane sent the chat out. So that's in the chat, I think, is where you put that. Let's see. Yep. Yeah. So that website is in the chat. Thank you, Diane. I really appreciate you doing that. So it's kind of hard for me to keep track of everything with me being the only one kind of watching everything tonight. So thanks. So anyway, at this point, I think what I'm going to do is turn off the recording, or put the recording on pause, so that way we can go into the next phase. If there aren't any questions so far. Are there any questions about any of the stuff that I've covered tonight so far?
Yeah, where did you get your HEPA filters?
The HEPA air purifier that I went with, there's two things about HEPA purifiers that you have to just pay attention to, is the upfront cost versus the filters cost. And so a lot of times they'll be really cheap, but then you end up having to replace the filters like every 6 months, and then that adds up and costs a lot of money. Okay, versus having a bigger upfront cost and then less cost with the filters. And so what I went with was an Austin Healthmate Junior. And again, I'm not endorsing them, but this is what I went with. It was a little bit steeper cost, but they have, and I got the Healthmate Junior, which is big enough for a 900 square foot room. And the reason why I went with that is because you really want to have a HEPA filter that is designed to deal with a room size that's anywhere from double to triple the size, because then that way your air is circulating more. Because really what you want to have is something that circulates your air up to 5 times, because of being able to clear the air in a reasonable amount of time. So I went with the Austin Air because you replace the filters once every 5 years. And that's it. And then it's for like an 800 or 900 square foot room. And so we got 2 of them, one for our common area. My business partner already had one for her treatment room, and then I got one for my treatment room. So
Healthmate Junior Austin Air?
Yeah, it's Austin Air. And I would look around for a price, because sometimes you can get it cheaper on Amazon. Sometimes you can get it cheaper directly from Austin Air. Austin, like in the town Austin. And there are other ones out there. One of the things that you want to make sure of, though, is that if you get one that, people talk about like that it does UV lights and all those kinds of things. Well, there's issues with UV lights, because in an air purifier because they can generate ozone. So you want to make sure that there's extra shielding on it if it generates ozone and those kinds of things as well, to make sure that it mitigates all that. If one of the things that I think is really, really good to take a look at, and I'm going to bring this up on my website right now because I need to, I guess I don't have it up right now on mine, is there's a Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook at all, there's a group called, you can search for it, COVID and massage, but the actual group name is, well, let me get to the research page, because I've got it at the top of the research page. There is, I think, no, that's a different one, but it's I'm sorry, I'll have to post that one too, but it's a Facebook group called Massage, Healthcare Practitioners, and COVID-19. And Julie Tudor, who is the sort of the one of the founders and one of the main moderators, she has actually posted a whole bunch on everything that you need to know about air purifiers. I mean, it's really long post on that, and that's where I've gotten most of my information from about it. The group is moderated very closely, and what they do is it's very research based. No conspiracy theories, no talking about COVID-19 as a hoax, none of that kind of stuff, and everything that's posted actually gets vetted by the moderators before it ends up. And if it's been posted before, they won't let you post it again, or they'll do, eventually they'll do a conglomeration of a post where it has all the related stuff in one post. So you don't have to go searching through their website, their Facebook posts to try to get everything. They really do a great job of trying to synthesize stuff. And their philosophy around it is that they don't believe that it is safe to do massage right now. All you're doing is making yourself safer, but you cannot make yourself 100% safe. But if you are going to work, then here are the things that can help you mitigate the risk and help you be safer. So that's really the focus of what they're about. And so you're getting good research from what they do. I mean, they've got a whole bunch of stuff on masks. I mean, anything that you can think of with regards to this, a lot of the coagulopathy issues, they have stuff on there as well. So it's a really good website. Okay. Okay. Any other questions before I turn off the recording? Yes, Wendy. You can unmute yourself there. There you go.
Yeah, I did. So I know you just talked about recirculation, and the last couple articles I've read said not recirculation. We need air that moves the air outside of the room completely. That's
right.
Something that grabs it and takes it out, but isn't constantly moving the air in the room around. They think that's an issue. So I'm a little confused. And I haven't done the research you've done on air filters. So I'm speaking out of ignorance here.
Yeah, so let me just clarify that one a little bit for you, because I think that it's an important difference, is that there's a difference between HEPA air filters and like fans and circulation from a cooling system, you know, like if you have an HVAC system in your building, or, you know, set up a fan or any of those kinds of things. You're absolutely right. If it's about air circulation, you don't want to be putting a fan in there to just move the air around, because then what that does is that keeps the virus aerosolized or up in the air longer, because that was one of the things that has changed over the last 2 months. As they said, well, the CDC was saying big droplets. Well, I was saying all along, aerosolization, because that's kind of what people have been talking about, meaning little smaller droplets. And then it can say aerosolized for up to 3 hours. And finally, a ton of research scientists got the WHO, the World Health Organization, to actually change their thinking about it, that yes, it is aerosolized, it's in tiny droplets. and not just droplets, but very aerosolized, like when you see your breath in the wintertime, that it's in all of that, and not just the bigger droplets at all. And so you have to be careful with that, and it can stay aerosolized or in the air for up to 3 hours. That's why you want to have a really good HEPA air purifier, because it'll recirculate that air through the filter and move that air faster and purify the air faster, so that it doesn't stay, the virus is not aerosolized for that full 3 hours. So you don't have to plan for, after your cleanup, another 3 hours between clients. But if you have just a fan that you're just using to circulate the air around thinking that's going to help, no, it'll push it off the surfaces and back up into the air. So you want to be sure that that if you don't have a HEPA filter or HEPA purifier, and you do have windows, that you can set up a fan in the window to blow the air out. Okay, that's one way to help move that air out of the system, or out of the area, so you get good ventilation through your room. Does that make sense, Wendy?
Yeah, thanks. That helps a lot.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Going once, going twice. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is put the record on pause. Okay, so let's get that piece together. Okay.